Morning.
Hi,
เขา
Calvin.
ไม่เห็นเรา
Well, nice to see you,
ไม่ให้
Rosita.
ดูเราจะได้สบาย
Sawatika, Ajahn.
สวัสดีค่ะ
Sawadika.
อาจารย์สวัสดีค่ะ
Shall we begin?
Yes, let's begin. Anyone have anything they'd like to start with?
I have ภาษา
Start.
yeah สวัสดีค่ะอาจารย์
สวัสดีค่ะ
Now the last time I learned that pariyatti the first kind of understanding there are 3 levels as
ไม่ได้ยิน
most
เลย
people will know pariyatti it's called intellectual understanding
คุณนีน่าค่ะ Sorry I cannot hear you from the very beginning
there are 3 levels of understanding as most people will know. Pariyatti, or it's called intellectual understanding. Patipatti, or direct understanding. And Pativeda, or direct realization. Now, last time, Ajahn said, Pariyatti is necessary even for enlightened people, like Sotapanna, until arahatship. I found that a very good reminder. I look different now at Pariyatti. It's not ordinary intellectual understanding. It's not book knowledge, but it always refers to the present moment. And Ajahn said, like, when we don't talk about seeing now, there are no conditions to understand the reality of seeing. So Ajahn always refers to the present moment with many examples throughout all these sessions. She said, understand the truth of what is there now. And she came with very good examples about the conditions or different pachayas that are always relate to the present moment. Like we talked about death, and she reminded us that each moment is momentary death. So we don't just have to say the present moment, but understand more and more. And this kind of understanding can condition later on direct understanding. What I found very helpful was the simile of the magician, because we look at a magician and where is this thing? It's nothing. It's not there anymore. He is so fast. But Ajahn explained that chitta is even faster. When there is something, then there is nothing, and then something again. She often refers to this, but this is within a very short moment. So last time and all the other times, we had extremely good reminders of the present moment.
Very good คุณนีน่า
Yeah.
So what is there now What is there now
Mostly thinking.
Okay It's time to understand thinking Whatever appears It appears but usually to ignorance There must be the understanding of the words of the Buddha to talk about right now what is there. No one at all. Even seeing is that which now sees, not that which is seen. Only this can be reminder for each moment of seeing, because before there can be the understanding of seeing as that which experiences. From birth, Citta arises and experiences all the time, but it's not known to anyone at all, no matter today or yesterday or tomorrow. That's why when we hear more about seeing, at that moment, the Sankhara Khanda, the Cetasika, all of them, perform their functions secretly, unknowingly all the time, right now. But since they are not seen, they cannot be known. But only that which is seen now can be studied, beginning to understand it as it is, little by little. Especially the reality which arises and experience is not known at all from birth. What is seen is only that which it experiences. And since they arise and fall away in split second, succeedingly, that's why they condition the nimitta all the time. So no matter that which is experienced today or any time, must be always the nimitta of realities, many moments. But to learn about the differences between this and that, this nama and the other nama, it begins to understand that they cannot be the same, and also not the same moment. That's why even so fast, right understanding can begin to study and to understand each one more and more. And then the reality can appear as it is, with anotherness, no expectation, no choice at all. Just right now, see, not hearing, not considering at all, no understanding of that which, as Buddha taught, but from hearing and considering, there can be a little understanding of that which appears until it appears well as it is, as no one and no permanent thing at all. Little by little, from life to life, comes from moment to moment. Unknown how it is working now. All Cetasikas are working, are functioning. They perform their function until each one appears, so there can be more understanding from hearing and considering. Can be conditioned from moment of understanding that which appears as no self. For example, anger, it's there, no one there. And it's not just anger, anything which appears can be the object for considering, to know that it cannot be taken for anything or anyone at all. Do you have face, tongue, teeth, leg, arms, hair? Do you have? Are they there all the time? Or when whatever does not appear, there is not there at all? There cannot be anything when it is the object of a moment of experiencing it. Just very short moment. To learn that actually what is there cannot be taken for what we take, like arms, ears, nose, or leg, or face, or teeth, or what at all. Nothing, only that which appears is there. And even that moment, it's not so many moments arising succeedingly as something all the time. But each one is gone. As soon as it has arisen, it falls away immediately. Immediately, see? Nothing is left. Only the other reality is conditioned to succeed the previous one. From moment to moment, this is life. non-stop with their conditions for reality to arise according to the conditions. That's own condition, its own conditions. Without condition, nothing can arise at all. To learn about there's no me, there's no I. What we take for something is only that which is seen, no thing in it. But the idea, taking the nimitta as something is there, very fast. After seeing, it's there, even right now. So many people and many things, as soon as one opens one's eyes. How can that be? Impossible. What is seen is that which can impinge on the eye base, only that, see, and then fall away succeedingly. So nimitta appears as something there permanent, and that is I. No matter it's seeing or feeling or remembering, what is there is real for a moment, only in a moment, only, and then gone completely, absolutely, never be found anywhere in samsara, in any plane of existence. And this is this very moment, from moment to moment. The truth is the truth, Satya Parami, until it's known as it is. Nobody can change what appears now, but right understanding can begin to understand it so very deep and so very subtle that it's not easy to experience that. Only the highly developed panya from intellectual understanding enough to condition the direct awareness, not at will, but by conditions, no matter when, depending on conditions, and just begin to learn to understand the truth of a reality which appears as a reality, not as I or anything at all. Just very shortly, no matter what is there. From moment to moment, where's I? Nothing can be taken for I at all. Where's your arm now? Is it still there? It's only thinking. But when there is touching, it's not the arm. It's only that which can be touched, heat or cold. But we, or tejo, or vayo only. And at moment of experiences, no word at all. Because the experiencing, the citta, is the chief of experiences, of experiencing the object as it is. And this is life, each moment. Just listen, and panya arises unexpectedly. Whatever level of panya, from understanding little by little, intellectually, it can be moment of directly understand with direct understanding of a reality by conditions. We don't know what is the object. It hasn't happened yet. And at what time, it's not known. Depends on conditions only. The truth is the truth. Just begin to understand at any moment after hearing and considering more and more and more. When someone say anything about the truth of whatever appears now, there can be the understanding of that because one has learned and heard a lot about it, until it becomes one's understanding, which can understand any time of just a reality which is known, not that which is not yet considered. Can you hear any sound now? Unexpectedly gone completely. Everything is just like the lightning, just very short, not know what it is yet. So whenever there is a question, what is that? There must be something, and the eye of something is there. So it brings about the thinking and the question, what is that? So natural, because no one can make anything arise at all. There's no I who can do anything. Is that seeing right now? That which experiences has no shape, no form, no color, no smell. Whenever it arises right now, it sees. And seeing is the experiencing, that which impinged on the eye base, that's all. And then gone, nothing more. So, how can we take that for I? It's gone completely. How we can take it as anything, it's gone completely. So life is a moment of experiencing an object from time to time, that's all. If there's no moment of experiencing, no life. What appears now?
Sawadika, ท่านอาจารย์
สวัสดีค่ะ
you said what appears now.
Yes.
Well, outside there is a very noisy motorbike.
What
And
about inside and now here, not outside?
Well, you said that, what appears like sound, for example, arises and falls away. However, this very noisy motorbike.
Excuse me, where's that sound? Outside or inside? In this room or out there?
Outside.
Yes, what is outside?
Well, I don't know really in reality because I don't see, I only hear a loud sound.
But at moment of hearing, where is it? Just the moment of hearing, nothing is there, only sound and the hearing. So where are they? Not outside, not inside. See,
that's true.
Nowhere,
yes.
nothing, no one.
Right. It's hard to grasp. I have another comment that I read in one of my notes from a long time ago, and it says, to see attachment is like trying to see the space between Galapas. And that when I read that, I thought, well, that's impossible. I don't know whether I wrote it down from something you said, but would you think that is true?
How many moments are there? The moment of seeing is not the moment of thinking.
No, and yet it all feels like it's all one
So,
thing.
what is there in a moment? Just a moment.
Well, what I have learned is it's just one thing at a time. One object is
So,
experienced by
that which is
one jitta.
seen is not $20 at all, right?
Can you repeat, please, Ajahn?
That which is seen is not $20. $20.
Yes, that's correct.
So what
I
is
believe-
seen? Not $1, not $10, not $20. Only that which impinges on the eye base, and seeing arises just to see only that which impinged on the eye base. No idea about that. It's gone, completely unknown. And memory, just take it, remembers the nimitta, which is not a moment, many moments, condition animitta of our reality. Nimitta of a reality of a moment. See? So this is why no one can understand the truth of it, which is so very deep. So when
Yes.
we hear the word, the teachings of the Buddha about reality indicates or show us that reality is so very, very, very difficult to understand its depth and its subtlety. And it's true, because seeing just see many moments, seeing seems like it says many, many times or all the time today. But the truth is not that. That's why the truth of a moment is so very subtle to understand its nature, as it's gone, just arise and then fall away, arise and fall away succeedingly all the time, non-stop, from years and years ago. And it continues on the other moment later. So we learn just to understand the truth that actually there is nothing permanent as something permanent like table and chair and I or anyone, see? But the truth is the truth. We think just have many things we take for I, my throat, my shoulder, my leg. Where are they? Only thinking, because it not anything appear as that we take for the whole legs or arms or teeth. See, very short moment all the time, arising and falling away, unknowingly. That's why we learned about the truth of that in a moment, as it is. The sound cannot be the sight or the visible object at all. And can the sound be my sound? Or the sound of violin? Nothing. Only just a moment appears and disappears instantly all the time. But from understanding little by little what which seem like they arise together, like seeing, hearing, thinking right now, can be separated because they cannot be the same moment or the same reality at all. To know more, a little more about actually what we take for I in what life, many, many lives before and in the future, it's not real. It's only ignorance, taking that which is no more as it's still there, as something. Otherwise, there cannot be the enlightenment, the truth, which is the Ariya Satya. It has to begin from intellectual understanding to condition the direct awareness with understanding. Not just direct awareness without understanding, that's useless. What for? To have direct awareness without understanding, and to have only intellectual understanding is not enough, because so true that it can be proven. It can appear as it is, but not to ignorance, but to the developed panya, stage by stage, little to little. And it's now, see, which has developed to some degree of understanding, firmer and firmer and firmer, until there's no doubt about the truth of whatever appears, even it's not directly known yet, but one day, since it's so true, panya can begin with the direct awareness, which is conditioned by intellectual understanding. That's the meaning of Khanti Parami, Virya Parami, Adhidana Parami, and Satya Parami. With our Parami, it's impossible to have such understanding. From not understanding at all, not hearing the word of the truth from the Buddha enlightenment. That's why the more understanding of the truth, the confidence and sattha of the Buddha and Dhamma and Sangha develops more and more, firmer and firmer, to know that who was the Buddha and who am I, how much ignorance, or begin to understand, like the blind and the doctor who can cure blindness. Or that which is hidden can become true little by little.
It's almost like sometimes I feel like there needs to be incentive. Like why are we developing understanding? You a moment ago you spoke of the parami. It seems very far away for me.
Without a moment, can we reach the goal?
I think not.
But can it be possible when it starts to go on little by little?
I believe it can. I guess for me it's not much Kanti parami. Well, in fact, none.
No, now
But
it is parami. The understanding of this moment is parami. To go on. Keep on going, listening, considering, understanding, more and more, little by little. Otherwise, there cannot be the savaka. See? But there are savakas. In the past, there's so many savakas. From not understanding anything until becoming to understand little by little, depending on conditions. Not only this life, but so many lives, like the parami, the Buddha's parami, not just in one life.
Adita, if there was no Kanti, would there be any listening and considering and reflecting on the truth about life now?
well, I guess not. But I don't know that from actual experience. But I guess, through what I've heard, there must be for me to want to listen and
to see the value of it rather than just following one's normal attachments as usual during the day, but to sit and listen and to see the value of considering wisely takes a lot of Kanti. So without Kanti there, it wouldn't be possible to listen and consider and reflect and begin to understand that it's true when it's said that it's just sound that's heard, not inside or outside. Kanti has to be there to to appreciate and understand it at this very moment.
Yes, certainly there's thoughts of what I've heard occasionally, you know, when I'm in the middle of something else and a thought of something I've learnt from the Dhamma arises. And it is just thinking, but it's certainly a moment that feels right.
So one doesn't have to look for kanti or try to have kanti or anything, but in order for there to be the wise reflection at this very moment, or the considering right now, kanti is there. It has to be there, supporting that wise reflection and understanding. And on the simile, or on the example about the space between the kalapas, I understand that because the rupas all arise in groups, in kalapas, separated by space, akasa rupa, but it's completely unknown. It's so subtle. It's very subtle rupa, completely unknown, that it's there separating each group of rupas. And in a similar way, the attachment arising now after each seeing or hearing in each doorway, it's that very subtle attachment is completely unknown, but it's there in between each moment of experiencing. So you say, what is the purpose? The purpose is to know that how little is really understood and how great is the attachment. More and more subtle kinds of attachment can be appreciated, that they're there completely unknown, like even now during a Dhamma discussion after seeing and hearing, attachment arises instantly but completely unknown, just like the space between the kalapas.
Yes.
So really the purpose of listening and understanding is to begin to appreciate how great the ignorance is. But if it's not known, if the attachment and ignorance is never known, it can never be relinquished even a little bit. So it has to begin with the understanding now. And it does take great kanti. The kanti is there for sure in order to be here and to consider and to ask questions and reflect on what's said. Nothing to do with conventional ideas of patience.
Thank you. And thank you, Ajahn.
So you see that this moment there is more understanding of what we're talking about more than last time. Is that right? It develops by itself with the Sankhara-khandas, no one at all. Only when it appears, depending on it appear to ignorance or appear to panya, which begin to know its characteristic as it cannot be changed to be someone at all. It has to be just as it is.
And I think we do have to hear this again and again again, otherwise...
We just as natural as usual every day, when it's a moment of thinking, even thinking, not being direct awareness yet, only thinking of that is very rare in a day. How many times we think about the teaching of the Buddha, even one word? Not at all. Until then, when even the thinking about that is there, one knows by conditions. But how very little, see, that is the way it is. Because the ignorance and all akusala have accumulated from eons, not just one life, eons and eons and eons ago, millennia and millions, see. So it takes quite a long time to be truthful, to be sincere and honest, how much there is the understanding of that which is now appear to seeing. See, not as it is, see, until it is as it is. because of the understanding is there to know the truth better and better, little by little. By conditions. How much patience, see? Without it, impossible to understand the truth of it as it's taught by the Buddha. Out of his enlightenment.
Ajahn, I have a question. We know that parami cannot be developed without understanding, and that at the moment of understanding, parami is being developed, and that it is understanding that sees the disadvantage of akusala and the advantage of kusala. The other day in one of the Vietnamese discussions, you said that we talked about the situation when someone can be very stingy, but still attain enlightenment. So would you please elaborate more on this?
If there is no understanding of the nature of stinginess, as no one knows self, can there be enlightened?
No.
See, so like Angulimala, see how much killing he has done, but the accumulation of panya is there enough to condition the moment of understanding. So very, very, very good or very, very understanding at that moment, to understand the truth of that moment. See, that's why the asaya nusaya is the accumulation of kusala and akusala. As long as the anusaya is there, how can you erase or eliminate until it's completely eradicated, stage by stage? That's why we have to understand that not only the anusaya, but the is asaya as parami as well. But the conditions are not ripe yet. And no one can make it rise at all. Only the moment of being ripe to condition such a moment of understanding. What about direct awareness? Hasn't it arisen yet? Or sometime? Whatever is there and the understanding is there, they can be known that they are not self, anatta, even just a little bit, because it's not known before that it will arise when and of what object at all, because nothing has happened yet to be known such at that level of understanding. So, and when there is the clinging to the idea of self, there must be doubt and desire together. What is that? How is it? When will it be? Just like that, see. But that is only akusala with ignorance. But the natural life, as usual, they are all not self, only namas and rupas. And one is so relieved not to try so much or to rush to attain such knowledge, but from hearing and considering and be satya, truthful, honest, sincere, to that very moment, how much understanding is there now. See, when the direct awareness does not arise yet, no understanding that it's there at all. There is doubt. What will it be? How can it be direct understanding? With panya. Because the have been the accumulation of panya, intellectual panya, enough, so firm, daily life, no, not mine at all, whether it is kusala and akusala, because they are not self. Even in the beginning, it has to be so firm that it does not disturb whatever is there, as before, as how can or how am such, that and that, so ugly, so akusala, because what is there by conditions. No one can change. To be used to the understanding of the no one, no self, can condition moment of direct awareness anytime, at any time, anywhere, by conditions. By then, the understanding of anatta-ness begins to develop on and on and on and on. Everything is so very natural and unexpected all the time. Not as one expect, even one expect, but what is there must be by conditions, to be or not to be there, just like that or not just like that we think.
So you mean that because of the anusaya of the latent tendencies have not been eradicated, so by condition, anything can happen and anything has to be understood by panya.
Of what degree? See, of what degree? Panya of what degree? At what
Direct
level?
understanding.
When it's not yet the moment of direct awareness, it is intellectual understanding. To understand about anger when it's there. It's only that, no one there. And what are you angry at? The eyes, or the ears, or the sound, or the skin, or what? See, they arise and fall away in split second. So it's useless to have such anger, to accumulate more anger, not the others, but yours, your own, by yourself. The other cannot harm you anymore at all, only the kilesa, which can do. So before going on further, no matter on what subject, when there is the understanding of no one, no self, from the very beginning, no matter what we study or hear about that and this and that, can be understood with the base on no one, no self. So the understanding is much more clear than mixed with the idea of I would like to know this or that. Because attachment is there, unknown, lurking somewhere all the time.
And if one has the idea that for understanding and the paramis to develop, that there shouldn't be any stinginess or anger, or that they're a hindrance to the development of the paramis and the path, then it's just the clinging to the idea of self again, the idea that it should be this way and that reality shouldn't arise, not understanding that by conditions, stinginess will arise, anger will arise, strong attachment will arise. And the patience that Azita was mentioning is patience that develops with understanding, to understand whatever appears naturally as just a Dhamma, not my anger, not my stinginess, not minding what the object is because it's conditioned to be that way already. So that's why the only hindrance to the development of the path and the development of the pyramid is the wrong understanding, not the anger or the stinginess or the attachment, which have to arise by accumulation. And I think that on the topic of the patience and Kanti, it comes back to what Nina was saying at the beginning about even the even the enlightened ones, the understanding develops. There still has to be the hearing, the considering with great patience. Ananda, when he was a Sotapanna, continued listening and considering. So pariyati conditions continues to arise, conditioning, direct understanding, and higher stages of enlightenment. So that kanti has to develop with understanding right to the very end. So that's why higher and higher stages of kanti have to be developed to be patient with whatever the accumulated tendency is at this moment, whatever ignorance there is, whatever attachment, whatever stinginess, because each one is conditioned. And that is the way that the paramis develop, not thinking it shouldn't be this, it shouldn't be that.
So it's really amazing the way Dhamma works. Like it's always beyond imagination.
Right.
Anything can happen anytime, and any idea that we might have about how things should be, it's just wrong.
And that's right. And that's why it's such a relief and letting go of the burden, because there is the gradual development of the understanding that what appears now cannot be any other way. What accumulated tendencies arise have to be just how they are. So it's so useless to think it should be different or try to make it some other way, because that's just wrong path of I at such times, not the kanti which develops to just accept whatever is conditioned this moment.
Very good, thank you.
As Ajahn said, as understanding develops, there's less and less concerned or being troubled by the akusala, because less clinging to the idea of it as my akusala or my tendencies. So whatever arises, no matter it's stinginess or anger or attachment, it's just the way it is, just accumulated tendencies, dhammas which are anatta.
Ajahn, may I ask a question?
Go ahead, Mary.
Sorry. I didn't turn on the microphone. Yes, please.
Ajahn, I'm just going back to Agulimana, and I'm thinking of, in a sense, the reverse of that situation, that if Agulimana had been a person who led a life where there was much akusala, certainly akusala and understanding. Is it possible from what you've been saying about the unexpected nature of all experience, of all realities, that those other accumulated tendencies to say kill and harm could also have arisen, even though he may have appeared to be a person of great understanding and insight? Is it that what we maybe assume is developed understanding is just as precarious as anything else, that it can change, but not change, but even though it seems that there is great understanding, that there can still be acts of violence or what indicates a profound lack of understanding. Is that is that still possible? When you say about unexpected, is there any point at which I suppose, understanding becomes secure?
There is all the time thinking about something, this or that. But can anything arise because of anyone conditions it to arise? Or because of its own condition, like seeing? Seeing does not belong to anyone at all. It's a reality which is conditioned by the eye base, that which can be the rupa, which the visible object only can impinge on it. Thinking about visible object, no matter we call it color or that which is seen or anything, it's a reality. We can change its name, but the understanding, the truth, cannot be changed. There is something appear at moment of seeing, and that object has to impinge on the eye base. Otherwise, how can there be the moment of such a reality to arise and experience? What is there? Only that, not the sound, not hardness, not the smell, not anything at all. So can anyone expect to have it to arise? Or it arises by its own proper conditions? And everything which arises depends on its proper conditions. Just being annoyed or the very, very strong anger is different by conditions. That's why actually there is no one, no thing, and not anymore after it has fallen away. Never to return, never to be found anywhere at all. So what we take for something, it's gone. And what we like it, when it appears, it's gone. Everything is gone. Even the thinking or the like or dislike that we take for I like it, I dislike it, also gone. Never to be at this moment. Whatever arises falls away in split seconds. What is left is only the memory of that which appears as something permanent is still there, but actually none at all. So there is the beginning of understanding what's meant by sunyata, all completely gone. What is there cannot be left, even just very little. They are completely gone. So no one, no I, no thing, only the way Dhamma is, which in Thai language we use the word pakati. The way it is, the way Dhamma is. Hardness is hard, it cannot be changed. No one can change its way or its characteristic, which is conditioned just to be hard, just to be smell, just to be taste. All are Dhammas. This is the beginning of understanding of actually in the absolute truth. There is no one, no thing. It's kind of such a relief. See, no me. What arises is there, not at there anymore, anytime, just gone completely. Before being born, there is no this one personality. And then there are from moment to moment someone, something in the world, in one's life, and then gone completely. That's why that one can be this personality only in this life. Everything is gone, ended at moment of death. New moment, new being, new personality, start again. and then go on and on until no more, the end of conditions to be such person like now. Very temporarily, very short, unknown all the time. And this is the conditions for birth and death, on and on and on, until actually Panya can see that no one there, it's only like the fire in the forest from here to there, and then again and again and again, but there is no one. That's the way life is. Can you remember what was there yesterday from morning to night? Gone completely. See, even you think about it, it's not there anymore. It cannot come back. No return after it's gone completely. And that is the meaning of sunyata, which is also anatta. So the truth of anatta and sunyata are the same. Whatever is sunyata is anatta. Whatever is anatta is sunyata. No more.
Ajahn, I think that this is probably a question or a comment that simply reveals a deep level of attachment. But when you talk about the relief that comes with everything falling away and never reappearing, in terms of well, if we go back to Agulimana, the understanding must have fallen away over so many lifetimes. It reappears at the moment of, or is conditioned to reappear at the moment when the Buddha speaks to him. But that falling away of understanding does not seem to me to be a relief. In fact, it seems to be more like loss. Now, that's what I mean about, that's through the lens of attachment, that it seems like loss. But can you say how falling away of understanding is not loss?
Are you talking about the anusaya, the latent tendencies? Because you see that there is a moment, only one moment, never two or three, just one moment. If there's no previous moment, can there be this moment? What is there in the previous moment? The previous moment conditioned the arising of the next moment. See? So what is there in the previous moment? Since it conditioned the arising of the next moment, what is there in the previous moment pass on to the other, because the moment now is conditioned by previous moment. That's why we cannot change the idea or the thought or whatever one has accumulated. We cannot give it to the others. We cannot try to transfer it to the others, because only the previous moment of different ones condition the next moment of each. That's why we are different.
So, do you mean that the latent tendency to understanding is what, I suppose, counteracts that sense of understanding being lost?
What is
that
lost? That which falls away, it arises, so it falls away. If it if there's no arising of anything, there's no falling away. So what is conditioned to arise falls away. But it conditions the next moment because each citta has one pajjaya, which is anantara pajjaya. After it's completely gone, the pajjaya of that one condition the next moment to arise and pass everything to the other because it conditions that, not the other citta, other accumulation condition our next citta. Only the previous citta, which has fallen away, condition the next one to arise instantly, no gap at all. So it's just like exactly the same quality of that which is there in the previous citta. How can the other one be different? Because it's conditioned by such that only one moment before it's arising. Continue on from eons and eons ago to be just a personality different from the others.
So made in the case of Angulimala, the anger that had been accumulated from lifetime to lifetime, conditioned anger to arise throughout his last lifetime from time to time until completely eradicated. And the same way the understanding that had been accumulated from lifetime to lifetime conditioned the understanding to arise when he heard the right words, because that tendency, even though the previous moments of understanding had all fallen away, that tendency had been accumulated by way of asya from Chitta, ready to condition the understanding in that lifetime. Just like for us, hearing and reflecting on the teachings and developing understanding, there had to be that tendency, that accumulation for reflecting and understanding in order for it to make sense when it was heard in this lifetime. So even though the understanding when it arises falls away instantly, never to return, but still the tendency accumulates from citta to citta, ready to condition its arising again in future.
Yes, I think maybe that's what I was getting at, Sarah. And of course, it's very tempting to conflate or confuse that with some kind of continuity, but of course, it's as Ajahn keeps reminding us, it's not personality, it's not self, it's not. There's nothing intrinsic other than the function to accumulate.
And it depends on the different conditions where they arise. For example, if there's rebirth as an animal, maybe for the whole lifetime, no conditions for any understanding to arise. But when rebirth as a human again, that understanding from the past that's been accumulated will condition understanding to arise again. So it depends on so many conditions when it will arise, like who knows next moment whether there will be anger or attachment or understanding, because it depends on many conditions, but the tendency is there, ready to condition the arising of that anger, attachment or understanding. And you asked about when it's firm. Well, of course, for the Sotapanna, no more wrong views. So there's that particular kind of moving along the wrong path will never arise again. There won't be rebirth in the woeful plane. So it's firm and secure. But now that tendency of understanding, it will accumulate, but it just depends on conditions when it arises.
So as Ajahn says, it's very subtle, and I'm thinking that the understanding around unexpected is I mean, I think the mistake that I'm making is I'm thinking about unexpected on a conventional level. But I think in the way that we talk about unexpected from a dharmic point of view, it has a very different meaning, doesn't it?
It does. Like now, who knows whether the next moment will be seeing or hearing or attachment or understanding. Each moment is unexpected.
Mm.
And also, Maeve, can we say that anything that arises has to fall away, and that falling away is complete. So that is why it is said gone, because that particular moment of consciousness or whatever, when it falls away, it's gone forever. What arises the next moment is a different moment of consciousness. However, lost is, you are referring to lost in terms of the different tendencies, for example.
Mm.
So gone and lost have a different emphasis. So we could say that gone is describing the rising and falling away of realities.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, it is said that everything is carried forward in the sense of the accumulated tendencies, so they are not lost.
Yes, yes, exactly. And thank you. I think that was, I suppose, what I was looking to have clarified. Thank you. And thank you, Ajahn, too.
Sarah, where is the latent tendency? Because attachment might be followed by wholesomeness, it could be followed by awareness. So we have these latent tendencies. So attachment or anger don't necessarily condition a following moment of attachment or anger. So where is the latent tendency?
All the tendencies, the good and the bad, asya and visya, are carried from, as Ajahn said, each chitta by anantarapachya, from one chitta to the next chitta to the next chitta. And it will just depend on many different conditions as to whether anger arises or attachment or understanding at this moment. So, for example, who knows what sound will be heard at the next moment? Maybe a very loud sound, like in Nazita's case, maybe sound of the motorbike, and because the tendency of annoyance or anger is there, may be conditioned for that anger to arise instantly. Many different conditions at each moment to condition the arising of that kusala or akusala chitta. The reason that we listen and consider now is because we know that the listening, the considering, the wise reflecting is a condition for understanding to develop. But it's unexpected because now there may be listening but no understanding at all because it's anatta. But the tendency is there, so it just depends on different factors, different conditions at each moment as to
So
what arises.
to clarify, unwholesomeness, say anger, has the latent tendency, that moment has the latent tendency of wholesomeness in it, even though it's unwholesome.
Right,
Chitta.
exactly. Even when chitta arises with anger, the accumulated tendency of understanding and kindness and goodness, those tendencies are latent with the chitta at that moment, just like if there's understanding now, still those tendencies for anger and annoyance and attachment are lying dormant in the chitta at this very moment, ready to condition attachment afterwards. That's why there can be a moment of understanding and instantly attachment to it or clinging to it as my understanding, because that tendency is there, ready to condition that understanding or wrong view anytime, unexpectedly.
Okay, thank
So
you.
those tendencies are always there until the unwholesome ones are eradicated stage by stage, and until the death of the arahat, all wholesome tendencies are gone completely too.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Alan.
Thanks. I suppose we can say in any case, no matter what, whether it's unwholesome chitta or wholesome chitta, the chitta is always pure, because it's it just experiences the object. It's the anger which makes it impure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So every chitta is pandra or pure in itself, but it becomes tainted by the anger and the akusala cetasikas arising with it.
You mentioned in one of your jottings, I think this week, about doing, that we often have this idea of we're doing something like cycling or running or doing a practice, but of course at the moment of seeing there's no doing. So at the moment of experiencing a reality there's no doing, is there? So this notion of doing is presumably just thinking. Is that right?
Because all there is seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking. So in the case of Angulimala, when he listened to the Buddha and became enlightened, there was no doing. There were just moments of, just like now, moments of seeing and hearing and thinking and understanding. No Angulimala who did anything bad or did anything good. Actually, no Angulimala at all. Just like now, no Alan at all, just different moments of seeing and hearing and anger and understanding and so on.
I think that was a useful sentence, very useful for me, that sentence you had, because as soon as you think of doing, you're moving away, because seeing just sees, right. Hearing just hears. And I think there's a sutra about what is in the scene, there is just the scene, and in the sound there's just the sound. It kind of illustrates that sutta, that it's just one moment of experiencing reality. And if we've got this idea, I must do this, then you're moving away from that characteristic of reality. Yeah.
Even when it's the idea of I must listen, it's not the understanding of what listening really is or what considering really is, because it's the idea that I must do something or I am doing something.
Yeah, so in the beginning we have this idea that we must listen in order to understand, but actually the moment of listening is conditioned, no choice.
Right, and the listening is not 2 hours listening as we would think of it in a conventional sense. It's just the moments of wise considering, just like the association with the wise or association with the Buddha is actually just the moments when there's understanding. And this is why Ajahn often says, do you know the Buddha now? Can you see the Buddha now? Because if there's no understanding at this moment, there's no association with the Buddha and his teachings. No matter we may be reading the book or listening to the Dhamma.
So when we hear about not, I think one of the blessings was associating with the wise and not associating with the unwise. But actually, that's not a physical thing. It's not a matter of being with wise people or unwise people, but it's a matter of recognizing or understanding at that moment.
It all comes down to the chitta at this very moment. For example, one may be like Jet, helping prisoners and people that conventionally we might call unwise people, but at the moments of kindness, at the moments of understanding, actually there is associating with the wise at those moments. So it always comes back to the chitta at this very moment. We may be surrounded by Dhamma friends, but lost in the world of stories about
And
last
vice
meal,
versa.
and vice
So
versa.
we could be in the company of bad people, but associating with the wise in the sense of recognizing that that's bad or not good.
If there's understanding of seeing at this moment or that moment or any moment, at that moment of understanding, there is associating with the wise, associating with the Buddha's teaching, and those are the moments when one knows the Buddha.
So when we think that we should be listening more, that's attachment already.
Usually
But-
it's clinging to I who wants to listen more. It's not the understanding at this very moment of what
But
appears.
by listening and considering, there are more conditions for listening and considering, so that it happens by conditions, not by us wanting it to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also not a doing. It's something that happens.
I missed that. Could you repeat that, Jonathan?
I said the considering is also not something to be done, not a doing. It's something that happens by conditions.
Yeah.
And that's why Ajahn was mentioning the word pakati, the Thai word pakati, meaning natural. It has to be very natural. So it's not a matter of trying to consider or setting time aside to consider, but no matter one's shopping or cleaning or surfing, there can be wise considering any time unexpectedly, even when being annoyed with the motorbike outside, like Sita mentioned, even at those moments there can be wise reflection and understanding. And that's the pakati, the natural considering, not the idea of doing something, not the idea of listening for so long or considering for so long, because that's all about the idea of I.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I'm not sure if Ajahn is still there or if she...
Yes. Was the Buddha's citta the same as Sariputta's citta?
No. Different.
What is the difference?
Yeah, there is a difference between the two, yes.
Accumulation, right?
Yeah.
Of different moments. Even
Different
among
accumulations.
arahatas,
Development of
the
wisdom, yeah.
cittas are different
Yes.
because of accumulation. Pakatu panisaya pajaya.
So accumulation and latent tendencies seem to be very close together. What's the difference
When
between
we talk
accumulation
about the
and
Pali
latent tendency?
term, asaya, it is the accumulation of kusala and akusala. But when
Yes.
we use the term anusya, it means only akusala.
Okay, right, yes. So latent tendency is akusala. Is that right? Those two terms, you use the Pali terms there.
All tendencies are latent, the asya and the anusya. Asya refers to both the wholesome and unwholesome, and
Yes.
the anusya, the unwholesome, but they're all latent tendencies. But the anusya, the latent defilements only.
Right, okay. So that,
Those terms, accumulation and latent tendency can be used interchangeably.
okay, yeah. Okay, thank you.
I have a question about appearing well. Ajahn explains this many times and so well. I understand appearing well, it appears clearly. But I was wondering what it is in Pali, because Alberto suggested Yata Buddha in Pali. But I would like to know, can I find a sutta about appearing well? It would be so nice when I explain it to others, if I can quote also a sutta.
Kunina, please say it again.
Yes. Appearing well. In Pali, I was wondering what it is, and Alberto suggested Yata Buddha. But I was wondering, it is so nice if I can find a sutta text when I explain it to others.
Kun Kampan, he knows Pali very well. But if we don't cling to the word, but what about now? Whether what appears now is well as it is, or it does not appear as it is, so it does not appear well.
Yes, you explained that very well many times. I find that helpful.
When what is seen is just like something, table, chairs, cups, the object does not appear well as it is, as there is no cup, which appears not table and chair. What appears through the process of seeing must be only that which is with the Mahaputarupa, because in Akalapa there must be 8 rupa, indivisible. So, where is that which is seen? It's there with the Mahaputarupa, but the Mahaputarupa cannot impinge on the eye base. Only that which is there with the Mahaputarupa, the only one rupa in the world, no matter in what world, there is only one rupa that can be seen, and that is there which now appears at moment of seeing. When Panya sees it as it is, it appears well to Panya. Well here means to Panya, which understand and penetrate the truth of it. Even we don't know the Pali term, can we understand the way it is?
Yes.
And the person who understands Pali might not understand what is meant by appear well, but from understanding the truth, the teachings, one understands that now, without Panya, what appears does not appear well. Just one in a moment, from moment to moment. And in the Pali it says that only nimitta can be object of enlightenment. Can be the object of different vipassana jhana. That which does not has nimitta. That which does not have nimitta is only nibbana, because nibbana does not arise. So there are many meanings of what would help in different ways. By way of appear wells, whatever appears as nimitta, even it appears well, but well as nimitta of that reality. Because not only one moment of seeing can condition many things appear at once at all. So the subtlety of reality not far away at all. It's now at this moment so deep to understand, to penetrate the truth, which is there, arising and falling all the time. And the idea of self arises so soon. After 3 moments of seeing, it's there. Tittasava, avijjasava. See? That's why we don't even not know when we take everything for self, no matter when and where, wakening or sleeping. See, as soon as there is something, I experience it, I see, I hear, I think, but in truth, no I at all. And by then, the object appears well to the developed panya from stage to stage, different levels. Even we are talking about the moment of the arising and falling away of reality right now, they are not known at all because it's not direct understanding of any reality yet. But a reality or the nimitta of a reality can be experienced, no matter its visible object now, not only very, very short moment of the arising and falling away of that which impinged on the eye base. Many, many, many unknown moments. See, how can it appear well when there is no understanding of any moment yet? That's why from hearing and understanding, it can condition moment of penetrate or directly aware of a reality by conditions. It shows its anothernness all the time. Even right now, we cannot select moment of seeing or hearing. So at moment of appears well, no one can manage or do anything, only by conditions. And direct awareness experience the object clearer than at the moment without direct awareness. So we begin to understand what it's meant by appears well, little by little. At moment of talking about seeing now, seeing does not appear well at all. And when direct awareness is conditioned to directly aware of that, no selection, no choice, conditioned by many, many conditions to arise to be direct awareness of a reality right then. The understanding of the difference between awareness at moment of understanding intellectually and the moment of beginning to know what is there as it is. It's like we talk about someone we haven't met yet, but we know about that person little by little until time comes and that person is there. We begin to see, oh, it's that person that we have known by talking about him so long ago, that there is memory of that as this one, like visible object. See, we are talking about that which appears now, but not being used to understand it as it is because no direct awareness yet. So only direct awareness begins to be directly aware of a characteristic which usually appears in a day but not as one, different from others. How many moments of seeing right now to see someone or something? Uncountable. Couldn't imagine how much. And seeing is only a moment. The moment before seeing, know what the object is, but cannot see. The citta after seeing knows what the object is, but does not see. See? So when it's directly aware of an object, it's time to develop right understanding of that characteristic before it can be acquainted to understand it anytime, anywhere. So the idea of no self develops little by little, so very little, only when there is right understanding. So a moment of right understanding of the truth is so very valuable, very precious, because it can condition the other moment of understanding directly. So Panya knows in a day what is moment of direct awareness and understanding, and what is the moment when there is no direct understanding at all. See, so very truthful. Satcha, Vacha, and Satcha Parami. No, not change. The truth is the truth. What appears as something will get less of thinking about shape and form, little by little, until it appears as it is, which means appears well. And better at moment of different degrees of vipassana jnana. That's why understanding that which experience now is not like moment of direct awareness, and only direct awareness is not the moment of vipassana jnana. And the first vipassana jnana is not as the other higher vipassana jnana. So think how much ignorance is there. Even there is moments of hearing about the truth, but it develops until time comes when it arises, the moment of understanding at that very moment, unexpectedly, as it is, as one has heard before, about each word of the Buddha is so true, until it is Ariya Satya. So it's quite a relief. No one to do anything. And when the citta is akusala, ignorant cannot understand the truth. That's why parami is needed to be a moment of kusala more than moment of akusala as before. Little by little, no one. Without panya, it's still ignorance and clinging to the self or something, atta. But panya itself conditions the understanding better and better of whatever appears in life at any time by conditions. That's why no trouble to go anywhere to do something or anything to have panya. It's impossible, not the right understanding, which is the conditions for understanding reality which appears now as appears well.
Thank you. And the meaning of there is something and then nothing and then something again. It is
Different
also
ones,
a moment.
different moments, different ones, accumulated on differently in there. That's why each citta is different in one person, and compared to the other person, much different, because different experiences in each moment.
And Nina, on the appears well, one time I checked about this in Thailand, and I was told about one expression, one Pali expression, su vidita, which means su well and vidita known. And
Please, can you repeat? I did not quite get it, the Pali.
yes, the Pali word su vidita, su S-U vidita, V-I-D-I-T-A, meaning well known. And I think it's that which has been understood well. And I think that it can be found in the Patisambhada Magga and the commentary. Alberto can help check for us. So
Yes.
when I
If you-
asked some Thai friends, they said this was the word that was used, subidita.
Oh, can you say it again on DSG? Because then I can see it written down. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And Nina, just on your other comment about something, then nothing, then something. I think what it is actually from nothing, there is something, and then nothing again. So
Yes.
nothing to something, then back to nothing again. And that is also found in the Pali. There's an expression that is mentioned.
Oh, and can you also put it on DSG? It's
Okay.
very nice if
Yeah.
you can do that. Thank you.
Ajahn Ka, I have another question for you regarding visible object. Are you still there?
I
Okay, Ka. So a moment ago you spoke about the Mahabhuta Rupas, and with that arises visible object. So can we say that one jitta that sees experiences that one visible object in that kalapa.
But the citta arises and falls away quicker, more rapid than the rupa. It takes 17
Yes.
moments of citta for the arising and falling away of one rupa.
Right. So that is so.
That's why the other citta can experience the object but cannot see. That's why they have their own function. Like Panchatavara Vachana knows what is there through what doorway, but it does not see. But it conditions seeing to see, to arise and see. Only one moment, and then the next citta cannot see, but it receives the aramana of the seeing and experience that object, and the next moment santirana and votapana and the other citta in that process experience the same object, as long as the object hasn't fallen away yet. So quick.
So very, very quick. So
Yes.
is it possible with highly developed panya to actually, does panya know that one visible object, or as you were saying just before about the nimitta, there's so many, they arise and fall so quickly that it's the nimitta that is seen.
All nimittas can be experienced according to the process of different objects. See, as long as the object is there, so short, so many cittas arise, see, and experience that. But when that object has fallen away, no more citta which can experience that which is gone already. And when there is the moment of seeing many things, see how many moments of seeing must be
Many
there.
moments, yes.
Yeah. And this is life, that it takes parami to condition the understanding and the enlightenment. To be different person, like to be Samma Sambuddho, and to be Savaka, and to be Pacceka, Bodhisattva. Different one at different moment, never to return. See, so how can we count the number of citta, the arising and falling away? Uncountable, impossible. What we take for a moment or a minute, there's so many cittas. Like it seems like seeing and hearing are together right now, but Buddha told us there are many cittas in between, unknown. That's why it can be known directly. That which are in between can be direct awareness instead, when there is conditions to know that seeing is not hearing, because ignorance in between can be moment of panya in between.
And those moments of either ignorance or panya only
That's-
arises in the javana jittas, the kusala or agusala jittas, after seeing.
That's why we know now that seeing is not hearing, impossible. They cannot appear together. They cannot arise together at all. From this understanding, more and more, little by little, it conditioned the moment of direct awareness of one, not two together. Only moment of seeing and the other moment of hearing. And what is there in between is direct awareness of only one reality. And many, many cittas after, before hearing. See, and that is the understanding that they cannot be the same moment. Condition a little, letting go the idea of I there. No doubt, how can the two, the seeing and hearing, seem that they arise together? How can it be like that? the rapidity of the arising and falling away, see? So from understanding that they are different, can condition moment of attention to just one, being aware of that characteristic, which just see, no one there. Little by little, that it cannot be anyone at all. It just arises to see and then gone completely, never to return. So it takes all parami instead of akusala as usual to develop right understanding. Patiently, kanti parami, satya parami, not the other thing which is real as this moment. And they are not anything like people and things. Just that which arises to experience an object. That's all. No one can stop its arising. No one can make it arise, but there are conditions like the fire. Many heap of fire, different ones, who make it arise by conditions. And they cannot be I cannot be the fire, the heap of fire. They are as they are. No one there. So, is this true? When it's true, can it be experienced? Because Buddha had experienced the truth, enlightened the truth, and the others who develop begin to understand and consider wisely, to understand firmer and firmer that actually in this life, not the other life which is gone and the future life, but even this life is not I. And this can condition the understanding of no self, no I in next life. So citta itself is different by the accumulation of kusala and akusala, of different level and different kind. Dana or sila or what?
You talked about the arising and falling away of realities. Can we say the nimitta is experience of the arising and falling away? I was not clear about that.
When we learn about the process, can right understanding arise at the moment of seeing? Instantly? Impossible. So there must be nimitta to be known. Because you see that there are so many things now is seen, right? So many things are seen. But in truth, just one by one. So fast. That's why as fast as it can be, must be as its process. No one can change the process, the arising and falling away one by one. After seeing, there cannot be other citta, but only sampadichana can experience the object. Only that it cannot see. It doesn't have function of seeing, but its function is as soon as seeing has fallen away, it receives that object, which is experienced instantly. No panya, no kusala and akusala. That is the way it is. The norm or the way Dhamma is. No one can change, even Buddha. That's why he taught everything that can be known and can be understood. That after seeing, there cannot be other citta besides only sampadichana, and after sampadichana, there can be only santirana, and after that there must be, like that depends whether what doorway. When it's the eye door, what is there is votapana, ear door, votapana, but different object. And then savana, see. To learn about this in order to understand that actually no one can change the way Dhamma is, because it's Dhamma, reality, different ones. Seeing cannot be changed because it has a reason to see already.
What about the nimitta of the arising and falling away? How is that?
Without Paramadadhamma, the absolute reality, can there be nimitta?
No.
So the citta, cetasika, rupa arise and fall away. Can you make it still there, not falling away?
It has to
Impossible.
fall away, yeah.
That's why it has to be as it is, each reality. So nimitta, when there is no reality, all gone, can there be still nimitta?
No.
See, that's why the nimitta is only the shadow of the Paramadadhamma.
That's very helpful, yes. The shadow.
Little by little, it develops, no one there. And only the panya can be parami with other parami. Without panya, even how much wholesome it is, it cannot understand reality as it is. And that can be proven. What appears now, not well, not as it is. And when panya knows the difference, at moment of direct awareness, only one object is the object of direct awareness, because there must be panya with it. Awareness cannot understand, and without understanding, to condition its arising to be aware of just one object, it has to be the development of panya, which knows the way to understand even the arising and falling away of the nimitta of Paramadadhamma.
We don't have a lot of time left. I'm just seeing Anli and Wilhelm. You've both been very patiently listening and showing your video. Do either of you have any questions or anything that you would like to clarify or ask about?
Hello,
Glad to
everyone.
meet you, Wilhelm.
Hello. I have a particular question about Nibbana. I understand in a conventional way that it is unconditioned, but isn't hearing the Dhamma a condition to that? So why is it not called a condition?
Ajahn, I don't know if you heard Wilhelm's question. He's asking about Nibbana and why it is the unconditioned reality, because hearing now is conditioned, seeing now is conditioned, all these other realities arise and fall away. But Nibbana is the reality that even though it is experienced, it never arises, falls away.
So
It doesn't
conditions.
arise by conditions.
So conditions. Condition what? There are so many conditions, but all of them must be citta, cetasika, and rupa. No more absolute reality which arises and fall away, but nibbana is not citta, not cetasika, not rupa. So how can nibbana arise? But before the experiencing all realities as they are, there must be the understanding of the conditions enough to know that without any condition, nothing can arise. So, moment of anger, moment of seeing, any moment which arises and which is now are conditioned realities. It's Nibbana now. It's the Nibbana now. Because Nibbana does not any condition to make Nibbana to arise. That's why Nibbana cannot be Citta, Cetasika, and Rupa. But how can all defilements be eradicated? See, they used to be there as condition for this moment and other moment in life, from morning up to now, to arise, because there are still conditions for their arising. But Nibbana is not now, because no conditions to condition Nibbana, otherwise Nibbana has to arise. But how can all defilements be eradicated? See, when we say defilements are eradicated, it means that no conditions for their arising. So the eradication of the cause, no more cause, that is the end of that which is conditioned to arise. Nothing arises, that is Nibbana, the end of all conditioned reality.
Okay, thank you.
That's why there are two kinds of Nibbana, sa upatisesa Nibbana, sa upatisesa Nibbana, and anupatisesa Nibbana, which means the death of the Buddha or Arahata. No more condition to be birth again.
Ajahn, why is the death of Arahat referred to in terms of Nibbana?
Sa upatisesa Nibbana means that which has to arise cannot arise anymore because the cause for its arising are eradicated. But still, there is seeing, hearing until death, final death, samucceta marana, the death of Arahata. No more conditions to condition birth at all.
Because according to Abhidhamma, we are told that Nibbana is a reality, regardless of being experienced or not. But when explaining the two different kinds of Nibbana, it is always in relation to one being experienced, the other not being experienced. Why is it sometimes that way, explained that way?
Can the kilesa be eradicated?
I understand that it's by the power of Lokutara Chitta and having Nibbana as object that the different kilesas are eradicated.
So Sotapanna has no more Titi, wrong understanding, because no more conditions for Titi to arise, because Panya is there little by little to eradicate conditions for Michatiti. So when Michatiti does not arise anymore, that's it Nibbana. Kilesa, Nibbana, stage by stage. Experience moment when no more of that.
So it seems to be a different meaning of Nibbana then?
Pardon?
When is that a different meaning of Nibbana? One is
Sa
the reality, the unconditioned reality.
Sa upatisesa Nibbana means only that is completely eradicated. Nibbana, no arising of that reality anymore. And when it's the anupatisesa, the final death, nothing can arise anymore. But at the sa-upatisesa Nibbana, only Ditti cannot arise anymore.
Sukin, they're referring to the khandhas sa or padi sesa refers to when the khandhas still arise, so the defilements have been eradicated, there's been the full realization of Nibbana, but still conditions for the khandhas to arise for the rest of life, whereas the anupadi sesa means no more arising of the khandhas, so that is the final parinibbana of the arahat, no more arising of the khandhas anymore. So the upadi refers to the arising of the khandhas.
Now, my question is, the one meaning of Nibbana is the unconditioned reality, and what I'm hearing now, another meaning is the eradication of certain defilements, or all arising. In the case of the final a Nibbana, that is Nibbana in that sense is the non-arising of certain realities. So is that two meanings of Nibbana?
In the first one, it's referring to the arahat's full realization of Nibbana as object, but the khandha is still remaining. And the second is referring to the Parinibbana, the final extinction of all life, all khandhas.
So yeah, I know that. I know the two definitions, but what I'm saying is that the meaning of Nibbana itself is two. One is the reality, and one is the unconditioned reality, and the other is one which is referring to the non-arising of.
Non-arising, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
I have a follow-up to the question about the Nibbana. I mean, about the condition. Isn't hearing the Dhamma a condition to come to Nibbana? So that would make it like, well, it's actually conditioned in that sense, or even though in a higher sense, obviously.
It is object condition at that time, but it is a very special kind of chitta that can experience it, the Lokutara, Magga, and Phala. So that's why it is not something that can be experienced by any other kind of chitta. It is the particular result of that, the development of Panya, that is Sotapati Magga, Sotapati Phala, and so on to Arahata Magga and Phala. That's why only these 8 particular chittas can experience that reality.
And that's why, Wilhelm, there's so much emphasis on the gradual development of understanding, the wise considering, the wise intellectual understanding, conditioning the direct understanding, conditioning the vipassana jnanas on and on, because there cannot be any experiencing of Nibbana out of the blue if the understanding hasn't developed. So it has to always begin at this moment, and it has to begin with the understanding of what is real, what is experienced at this moment, the visible object that is seen, not something which is seen, so that the understanding develops. Have you been, when you hear about the different realities now, about seeing now which sees and just the visible object that sees, no one, no thing there, does this make sense to you?
Excuse me, what makes sense? I mean, the process that
you've been hearing a lot in the last sessions which you've been attending about how now there are just those dhammas which experience an object, moments of seeing, moments of hearing, moments of thinking, and just those realities that don't experience anything, such as the visible object or the sound, and how we learn about these different realities in order to understand there is no one here, no one there, no one that experiences anything, no thing that's experienced. Does this make sense to you, or do you have any question about this?
Well, questions are the intention, obviously. I understand the principle of Nama and Rupa, but obviously the understanding is just thinking, I guess. So
right.
Yeah.
So that's why it has to just always begin with the wise thinking, the wise considering, because if one hasn't heard about the different namas and rupas, there's no way of knowing anything about them. So it begins with the wise considering, and that wise considering becomes firmer and firmer, or more and more secure, as Maeve might put it, until it conditions the direct understanding on and on. And there cannot be any knowing anything about Nibbana until the understanding has developed to that degree that it can directly realize Nibbana. So that's why it always has to begin with the understanding now. Very glad to see you here, Wilhelm, and nice to meet you, and to appreciate your interest.
Okay. Can the wise considering be intentional?
What do you mean by it? What do you mean by intentional?
Well, about thinking about this, like now digesting what was talked about, and yeah, consider all the points or some of the points and so on.
So even this moment of considering right now, reflecting on what has been said, is conditioned. It's conditioned Dharma, that considering. It's not I who can intend to make it happen. So it just depends on conditions at this very moment, whether there is wise considering of what has been said or unwise considering. So each moment, each thinking, each seeing, each hearing arises by its conditions.
And we can say there can be intentional thinking, but there can never be intentional wise thinking. The wisdom part can never be intentional, always conditioned. And natural thinking, of course, is conditioned too, but a conventional way of thinking is something that can be deliberately carried out. But here, wise consideration refers to something that happens or occurs by a condition, not by the deliberate intention to think in a certain way or about certain.
Perhaps we can continue this important discussion next week. I think it's about time now, so we can continue next week. Thank you very much, Ajahn. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะทุกคนค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ Bye-bye. Thank you very much. See you next week.
My great pleasure สวัสดีค่ะ